after our wonderful achievement last night, qualifying for the top 4 for the first time in 13 years. Well done to the boys. Just putting some early thoughts out there. This won't be long, and I won't be engaging with comments or chats. I'm on my way to work, and that would be too dangerous in peak hour. So to the trials, thank you. And to the true supporters of the Bulldogs and their achievement in 2025, I just want to say well done to you guys. You stick solid. You understand this is how hard it is, how long we've waited to qualify to get 2 opportunities in the finals. And we obviously want to win as many games as we can. We want to make the grand final. We want all that equally as much as the Sooks and the absolute fragile personalities out there that are catastrophizing and running around literally hanging shit on players and on the club. And those people honestly should hang their heads in shame, some of them. The performance last night, well, look, I sort of look at that as preparing for Mike Tyson or Muhammad Ali at their absolute best. When you know that they're the champion and that they're undefeated and they're knocking everyone out, but they don't turn up. It gets announced 2 days before the fight that you're going to fight Paul Gallen, and that's not going to be easy, although you should easily beat him. Maybe a shit analogy, but I think it's a good one. It's always hard to prepare for a side which is full of debutantes. I think they had 6 debutantes last night. A bunch of players that are good enough to be in that Penrith system, that add depth to their top 30, who've been itching for an opportunity all year. And look, they came out, they tried hard. We controlled possession. We controlled that game for 98% of it, which is, I'm pretty happy with that. Got scrappy at the end, which was concerning when we would have liked to have went on with it, and I'm sure the players were frustrated. But I knew it was going to be like that. I was hoping we could get a really big score on them, but that was all hope. It doesn't come down to we're shit in attack. Yes, that was clunky, but you've got to look at the context and the circumstance. Yet again, no excuses. It's just the reality. The reality is our play the ball speed was reduced to about 3.9 seconds, which is terribly slow. We were unable to generate speed through the middle, which if we had, we score plenty of points. And any times that we did, they really struggled. So good effort by the boys to keep at it. They dominated field position. Their defensive stuff was pretty good. A couple of missed tackles against some guys that you're going to see, like Farley. He'll be in the NRL, don't you worry about that. We saw him in the trials at the start of the year. He's got some real ability, and the other big fella on the other side, his night got ended early. Copped a hip from Matty Burton, fighting to get up. So look, I was when you look at what they were doing, they were rushing our edges, and they were doing a good job of rushing certain players. It was well constructed. They had a really strict plan on what they were going to do to spoil us. And, unfortunately, sometimes we played into it. And it's not surprising that when we sort of, when a ball went to ground, for example, that we're able to split their sort of structure in what they were doing and get that second try. Initially, when I saw Jacob Carraz's leg buckle, I thought he had snapped his ankle. I hope there's no fracture in there. They're saying a syndesmosis. If it's a rolled ankle, I reckon he'll be back for round one of the finals. If not, I think he would be hard-pressed to get back for a grand final. We're talking about Jacob Carraz, who plays in pain every day and has busted his body for this Bulldogs team at a very young age. So very proud of our club and where they've come from, and so should everyone be. If you're not, if you think they've just blown their season, you know, that's your right. I've got a really big message here for the Touchline podcast. I've unsubscribed, or I will be. Not that they'll care, but there's a reason why their viewership is completely dropping off the charts, because people can see them for what they are now, and that's people that are more interested in views and riding the outrage train than actually supporting and loving the club like they claim to. For them to sit there and say that Lachlan Galvin is a cancer on our club, that the performances are because, in their perception and opinion, he has destroyed the culture of the club, is disgraceful. Absolutely disgraceful for anyone to carry themselves that way and say that stuff. It's their right, it's their so-called opinion, and maybe that's how they feel when they don't get what they want out of a game of rugby league. I don't care if you go to every game. You're privileged to be able to do that. There's a lot of people who can't afford to go to games or just are unable to due to their, commitments. Doesn't make you a better supporter. It just makes you it's great that they went. Big shout out to the Bulldogs crowd last night. 23,000 turned up to watch a reserve grade Penrith team. A few Panthers fans there as well, which was good. But I'm really proud of the Bulldogs faithful for going out there and really supporting the Dogs. It wasn't the normal atmosphere coming through, but it was one I was really, really happy to see that. Would have been nice if the boys could have got a few more tries for the crowd especially, but wasn't to be. That's just the way it goes. I expected it could have been tougher. I was worried we were going to lose, purely because they had nothing to lose and we have everything to lose in that match. So, well done to the boys for getting through it. Losing Jacob Carraz, and that was the other thing. Like, I was worried there was going to be some foul play in there against us. Seeing that hip drop on Burton, not that any of those are actually deliberate. That worried, that sort of awakened me to the danger of this game, where their whole team gets an opportunity not to be injured, trying to beat us. And look, I strongly believe, I'll never know, crystal ball stuff, but I think we would have beaten Penrith last night at full capacity. Not in that context of the way we played. Many would probably fairly say if we play any NRL team like that, we lose. But honestly, if any NRL team is kicking the ball out on the halfway line to keep it out of play and only gets 44% possession over the match, they're not beating us anyway. So, you know what I mean? Like, we dominated the area, the field position. They could hardly get out of their end. They had a couple of good sets. Well done to them. Nearly got a second try. It's what I expected. I was hoping for a scoreline of about 49-14. Thought they might scrap their way to a few tries. And the try they got was absolutely brilliant. So well done to Dane Laurie. He had a really good game. But I'm very proud of the Bulldogs for making the top 4. Job is done from that part of the equation. 2 opportunities, first time in 13 years. And from where we were, for all the people hating on the club and saying they destroyed the season and that, like, if you want to go back to where we were 3 or 4 years ago, sure, let's go back there. Let's blame, say, Serrato can't coach. Let's say that the club put their ego ahead of reality and all this sort of stuff. I will say, though, that I love the when the camera panned over Toby Sexton and the crowd all applauded him. That was lovely. And well done to Toby for the way he's carried himself. I can't say the same for one of my favourite players in Reid Marnie. I just refuse to, after seeing what I've seen on his brother's profile, I know you're not the actions, you're not your worst action, and doesn't mean you're a bad person. I've always stood up for the fact that he's probably just, he wanted to leave because he couldn't get his own way. And when that happened, he put a lot of pressure on our club. And watching him last night, actually, I was a bit concerned, actually, because he was choosing the wrong option. He did it a few times in the last 10 minutes last week. Contextually, though, he's not used to coming off the bench. I will give him that. But you've got to have him there, or you've got to have another hooker there, because if we lose a half or a back, Bailey Hayward can move into the halves, and other people in our halves or back line can move around. And that way you've always got a hooker to come on at the 9, which is very, very important. Hayward, I felt he went better last night. Obviously, some of his service is inconsistent and slower. That's just part of the process. I find when we get that roll on, he goes well out of dummy half and bringing players onto the ball. That's a real strength. And he goes the right way the majority of the time, I find. As far as where we're setting up and stuff, where I found Reid has just gone the wrong way 3 or 4 times. So yeah, look, nothing's perfect. We're far from the finished piece. And I've said that plenty of bloody times. If people want to catastrophise and carry on like we're going to win the comp and all this sort of stuff, we've got 2 chances to win it, or to to make a prelim. You can't ask for more than that from any season. And with some bad luck, we might have lost some of those other games that we'd won. We won them. We put ourselves into a good position. Penrith didn't want to take us on. They knew they had nothing left. They'd just given up big leads in their last 2 games. Gone the distance in their last couple of games. Players have been battered and bruised for the entire season. They chose what they had the right to choose, and that was to dog it and not play us. And that's exactly what they did. They had that right and that option, and that's what they did. And hopefully Dogs fans remember that always. Because I can tell you, stick with this team, this club. They're going to continue to go up over a long period of time. And, there'll be some dips along the way. You can't control lightning. There'll be some mistakes made. There'll be things that happen that we won't like or agree with, but won't know the full story. Just stick with the team. Get out there and support them when you can. And don't be a bloody sookie la-la because you can't control your emotions when you think we should be doing one thing and they're doing another. Because you're not inside the 4 walls. You don't know. You don't know what's going on. And all I can say is what these guys put their bodies through, and that's all players in the NRL. I know they're paid well for it, but lots of them are going to be permanently damaged. And just another thought too to the park footballers out there who play for the love of the game, for their communities. they don't risk anything less, and some of them are just as tough. So well done to rugby league. I'm happy today. I'm really happy that we made the top 4. The last time that happened was when my mum was alive. So, and she was probably the biggest Bulldogs fan I've ever met. 1 minute to go, down by 20. She still believed we could win. She was that hopeful, and she always said, "Hope's worth it always." Because the pessimists and the ones who want to sit there and say, "I told you so," and the ones who want to sit there and kick the boot in when things don't go right, they don't get to experience the highs of having hope and understanding that when you do get there, it's just so good. And I can't wait to see, hopefully be a part of the crowd when that happens, and to be in that Belmore area. I remember in 1998 that was absolutely massive, and it's funnily enough, it's been just as massive, just winning round 2 and 3 this year. So well done to the Bulldogs crowd, the drummers, everyone out there honking their horns, copping fines by the police who were just sitting there waiting to charge them, contributing back to the economy, I call it, with their revenue raising. Very proud of the boys, and getting there, support them. I don't know what'll happen next week. We'll look across that bridge later. We'll talk about that. But I do know in 2 weeks our team will go out there, will be tough to beat, and will give their absolute all. Who do I think the competition favourites are? I really don't know. I'm really scared of the Broncos, to be honest. If they, they've got a player called Reece Walsh, who everyone hangs shit on. But he's a really good player. And I tell you what, if he gets his brain right and doesn't overplay his hand, they're a really good team. And we've got another player who's sort of, we've got a few players who can break a game open and who do worry opposition teams a lot. So if people think the Dogs have got no weapons in their side, well, we'll see how that goes for them when we go out there and represent the club in a couple of weeks in the semi-finals. So well done to the Bulldogs, well done to the club, and well done to all the fans who have stuck strong and haven't had a big sook every time we've lost or carried on like they know more. And well done to those who, just are able to keep it together and just keep on this journey. Because what a great season, 16 wins. Not all of them the way we wanted them to be, but they're all wins the same. They're all hard. And, write us off. Our club, our team's been written off plenty times before, and we know what happens there, don't we? So, keep the hope up, keep the faith, and when those Dogs go out and represent us, cheer loud, and, be really excited that they're there, and let's hope that they can do a bit more than that, and not just be there, but bloody get there and prove why they should have been there the whole time. All right, people, we'll talk soon. Thanks for tuning in. Go the Dogs. Oh, look at this Savas curtsy before I go. Hi, bro. Are you Big Joe? I don't know, mate. Ask your mum. See ya, bro.